And now the good news. Good evening, good afternoon, depending where you are in the world. This could be early afternoon or early evening, late evening, even possibly. Well, I'm so delighted that you're here. I'm Barbara Jean. I am the host of And Now the Good News. And I just want to say how delighted that I'm here to be with you today, this wonderful, happy Friday as we move into the fall weather. I'm not sure what your weather's like wherever you are, but here it's a little chilly, but very nice nonetheless. All right, let's begin with this first story. This is a really cool story, very inspiring. A 29-year-old becomes the first woman to cross the United States on a skateboard, honoring her stepfather, whose ashes were carried in a necklace. And I think we have a video.
Hey, bro, this is Roger. You want to call? Tell me what happened. I just wanted to call and see how you're doing, and just I know you're probably upset, but you know everything's gonna be fine, and we'll get through it. So, if you get a chance, I know things are probably hectic right now. Just to let me know if I need anything I can do for you.
Wow, that's quite the journey. I don't know that I would be even considering, well, I don't skateboard, so there you go. The stepfather, who always believed in her, was with her at the end as his ashes rested inside her necklace while she crossed the finish line. Brooke Johnson had just become the first woman to cross the United States on a skateboard, a record setting 3,226-mile journey. And wow, it began in Santa Monica, California, and ended when she walked into the Atlantic Ocean at Virginia Beach after 119 days on the road. The 29-year-old lifted her skateboard over her head and couldn't help but think about Roger, the man who made it all happen, even though he was only there in spirit. Late in his life, Brooke's stepfather broke his C5 vertebrae and became a quadriplegic. His health continued to decline until he passed away last year. As time was running out, stepfather and daughter often talked about Brooke's dream of cross country skateboarding, and she planned to push him across the finish line in a wheelchair. Roger never once doubted that she'd make it. I was like, Roger, it's a really big country. And he was like, well, you can do it. When Roger passed away, Brooke had more motivation than she would ever need. She set out from Santa Monica about 4 months ago with the goal of raising money for Wings for Life, a nonprofit dedicated to spinal cord research. She persisted through rough weather and mountainous terrain, even rolling through a tornado warning in Oklahoma. Whoa, this girl's my hero. Her team, which included an RV and video crew, ultimately raised $50,000 for Wings for Life and Roger's name written on her white shoes so she could see it on every single mile. Wow. Well, that's amazing. After stepping into the Atlantic Ocean, Brooke celebrated her triumph by sharing a video on social media highlighting her feat. The Instagram post, including a voicemail from Roger that she randomly found on one of the toughest days of her journey. How awesome is that? Well, his voice and his advice became a beacon that guided Brooke across the country until she completed the goal her late stepfather always knew she'd reach. Wow, that is a beautiful, beautiful story. And talk about strength and stamina to be able to do that. That's truly, truly remarkable. Okay, so here's a little something that we can all take a part in: deep breathing. Deep breathing can create psychedelic bliss in your brain. Okay. A study recently found that deep breathing exercises induce similar patterns of blood flow to the brain seen in patients using psychedelic substances like psilocybin. This altered state of consciousness matched one first described by Freud and was characterized by blissful feelings, positively experienced depersonalization, and the sense of unity. Breathing exercises like high ventilation breathing or holotropic breathing have been growing in popularity as forms of neuromodulation that can combat overactive feelings of fear, stress, anxiety, and helplessness. Exactly why these exercises, known collectively as breath work, have such a profound, almost psychedelic effect in the brain, however, is not known. To that end, uh, Amy from Brighton and Sussex Medical School in the UK designed a trial to study blood flows in and out of the brain during 20 to 30-minute breathwork sessions accompanied by music. Conducting this research was a fantastic experience. It was thrilling to explore such a novel idea. While many people anecdotally recognize the health benefits of breath work, this style of fast paced breathing has received very little scientific attention. We are very grateful to our participants for making this work possible. Her and her team, which included Dr. Alejandro Colasanti, the director of the Colasanti Laboratory for Clinical Neuroscience, where the experiment took place, analyzed self-reported data from 15 individuals who participated online, 8 individuals who participated in the lab, and 19 individuals who underwent magnetic resonance imaging, MRI. Relaxing music was played at baseline, while progressively evocative music was played during breathwork sessions. The results show that the intensity of blissful psychedelic experiences brought on by breathwork were proportional to cardiovascular sympathetic activation, as indicated by the decrease in heart rate variability. In addition, these states were associated with a profound decrease in blood flow to the left operculum and posterior insula, brain regions implicated in representing the internal state of the body, including breathing. Additionally, large reductions in blood flow to the brain were observed, but there was a progressive increase in blood flow to the right amygdala and anterior hippocampus, which are brain regions involved in the process of emotional memories. These blood flow changes correlate with those seen in the brains of patients undergoing psychedelic experiences, demonstrating that these alterations may underlie the positive effects of this breath work. During all experimental sessions, participants reported a reduction in fear and negative emotions with no adverse reactions. In general, the reports matched with something the father of psychoanalysis, Freud, described as oceanic boundlessness, associated with a blissful feeling of oneness, detachment, and spirituality. Music alone is not enough to produce such profound states, and so the authors suggested that the findings be replicated with larger study groups with more focus into the musical content. Breathwork is a powerful yet natural tool for neuromodulation, working through the regulation of metabolism across the body and brain. It holds tremendous promise as a transformative therapeutic intervention for conditions that are often both distressing and disabling. Wow, interesting. Well, before we move on, let's take a little commercial break and we'll be back in just a moment. Don't go away. There's more good news to come.
The affiliated New Thought Network is pleased to present Deep Within, Mining Our Hidden Treasures, a hybrid spiritual retreat, October 6th through the 10th at Unity Village in Lee's Summit, Missouri, featuring our opening keynote address from Reverend Michelle Ezigwu. Our Tuesday evening Raise the Roof experience with Reverend Dr. Martha Creek, special musical artist Ricky Byers. Wednesday features a morning keynote with Centers for Spiritual Living spiritual leader, Reverend Dr. Sonny Cantrell Smith, and evening keynotes from Reverend Dr. Robert Brzezinski. and Reverend Tanya Beverly. Reverend Dr. Janine Burns rounds out our keynote speakers on Thursday morning. Visit www.antn.org for more details. Virtual and in-person registration is now available. We would love to see you there. ANTN, connecting the New Thought community through consciousness and love.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
And now more good news here on the New Thought Media Network. Well, this is a wonderful story. Beating cancer required thousands for parking. She now fundraises for other patients' parking. Given all the expenses and anxieties that come with battling cancer, one might think that parking fees really shouldn't be among them. Yet, as wild as that may sound, some hospitals and cancer centers in Canada either charge for parking as much as $12 a day or don't have large enough on-site parking, forcing patients to park in private lots or on the street where the costs can even be higher. A 6-month battle against cancer means those parking fees can breach the thousands column. But one cancer survivor is fundraising to pay for cancer patients' parking, ensuring that in at least one sense, they have no burden to bear. That's the story of Christina Locke, who battled lymphoma for 20 years and is now giving back in the weeks following her birthday to support those walking a similar path. She's raising funds to cover parking costs for patients and families visiting the Verspeten Family Cancer Centre at London Health Sciences Centre in Ontario. That's a little bit southwest of me, where she received treatment for so long. The need is there. Some people have to come in every day for treatment, and parking can feel like one more thing to deal with. I wanted to spark some joy in their day. Diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma in 2004, Locke visited the cancer clinic every 6 months for over 2 decades. In 2023, her illness transformed into a more aggressive form, but today she is cancer-free and focused on giving back. When I was done my treatments, I just felt like I needed to do something more. So she turned around and now doing this wonderful thing. So she told CBC News, adding that patients walking in for their first cancer treatment feel like the rug has been pulled out from under them and aren't even sure how long they have to live. Imagine paying or even remembering to pay the $20 for parking under those circumstances. Now, during the 2 weeks either side of her 63rd birthday, Locke waits at a booth with parking vouchers and a sign that reads, "Happy birthday to me. Your parking is free." Today, I received hugs. I received kisses on the cheek. I shared tears with people. I shared laughter. There was joking. It was just completely beautiful as it lightened the mood. We are deeply grateful to Christina for her generosity and compassion toward patients at the Verspeten Family Cancer Center. Facing a cancer diagnosis is an emotional journey, and helping cover parking costs removes one worry for patients and their families. Oh, what a sweet thing to do. And who would even have thought of it, right? I wouldn't have thought of that. That's amazing. Okay, well, here is a remarkable story. Rescuers form a human wall to dam a river with their bodies to save a boy trapped by the current. From southwest China comes the story of a group of strangers who stopped at nothing to rescue a boy from a raging river. While unable to literally move heaven and earth, their determination was such that they altered the flow of the river with nothing less than their bodies. The story began in Gizu province near a scenic riverway frequented by visiting nature lovers. A boy was playing in a creek where the water flow was quite strong and lost his footing. Less than a foot of fast flowing water is still enough to move a parked car, and the boy was at the mercy of the elements as he tumbled down the waterway before being stuck between two large stones with only his head sticking up above the torrent. Good Samaritans, mostly tourists, rushed to the scene and plotted a rescue maneuver. They first tried throwing a rope down to the boy, but it was not enough. Shortly after, the largest and strongest of them waded into the stream and literally created a human wall to break the flow of the river long enough that someone could help get the boy out safely. One rescuer scaled down one rock and needed 3 attempts to dislodge the boy, the water making everything slippery and a solid grip unachievable. All the while, the weather was turning, and the rescuers felt they needed to succeed immediately, or rains might cause the river to rise even further. His daughter's voice in his ears from where she watched on the bank above, eventually he freed the boy, who immediately cascaded down into the arms of another rescuer in the pool below. Wow, what a beautiful story. This boy is so lucky to have so many uncles come to his rescue. Beautiful, beautiful story. When we think about people, sometimes we think most of them are, you know, self-serving or centered or bad or wrong or whatever. But I'll tell you, from the stories I'm doing here at the Good News, man, I just see good, good, good everywhere I look. All right. Here is a boy with a dream. This is Logan. He loves trains, always has. And now he's one of the youngest licensed train drivers in the whole of the UK. For some children, the question, what do you want to be when you grow up, is mulled over in a bit of anxious uncertainty. For others, it's as easy as responding with their name and age. So it always was for Logan Smallwood. Reported recently by the BBC, Smallwood's journey from boyhood model train collector to heritage railway line driver is as straight as the standard gauge cargo line through the Mojave. I've always loved trains. I've always said when I grow up, I want to be a train driver, Smallwood told the BBC. My great-granddad worked in the mines, and he was always fascinated by trains. He gave me a coal model of a Silver Link, that's a kind of train, and I think that might have been what set me off. Born in Lancaster, County Durham in England's far northeast, it's the most typical thing to say that one's grandfather worked in the mines. It's something somewhat quaint, somewhat depressing, reminiscent of a time when working conditions for the middle and lower classes were dirty and dangerous. But Smallwood wears that quaintness and heritage well as the tweed knit jacket he sports behind the controls of a Sentinel shunter, a 17 mile per hour locomotive typically used to position cargo cars in train yards, but which also pulls pleasure carriages along the 18-mile Weardale Railway line, a heritage train service that passes through an area of outstanding natural beauty, the near equivalent to a U.S. national monument. Logan began working at the Weardale line as a volunteer last April, having graduated from Newcastle College Rail Academy with honors and with a diploma in engineering technologies. The BBC spoke to the young man after he completed his first solo shift behind the wheel. Weardale runs trains that I adore, and it has got little steam locomotives for the bigger diesels, which is one of the attractions for me. I love working there. There's a shortage of train drivers in the UK, and the Transportation Secretary recently lowered the required age from 20 to 18. Legislation that Smallwood jumped at the opportunity to take advantage of. His mother cried tears of pride when her son received the driver's certificate on the Sentinel shunter and believes he's close to fulfilling his childhood dreams. Well, it's never too young to dream and never too late to go and make those dreams come true. All right. Well, this is interesting. A young woman accidentally booked an Airbnb that turned out to be her father's childhood home in Italy. Imagine. From Italy comes a remarkable coincidence, and generations in the making, told with a little help from Airbnb. Between 1850 and 1950, around 3.5 million Italians immigrated to Argentina, with the 19th century seeing many Northerners arriving and the 20th century seeing mostly Southerners. It contains the second largest Italian diaspora on earth by number and the largest by concentration, with some states in Argentina today containing a population that's 30% or more of Italian heritage. And it's reflected in the culture and surnames seen today. From the historic birth, Flor, a young Argentine traveler, made a reverse course this summer and arrived in Castel San Lorenzo in the Italian region of Campania. Her aim was to explore the place her father grew up, to see the countryside he left behind when he traveled to the New World. Booking an Airbnb in the medieval village's historic center, Flora must have arrived with great anticipation, but nothing could have prepared her for the surprise to come. At her booking, she met the owners, Margarita and Enza, a mother daughter pair of superhosts with an almost perfect 5 out of 5 in every category for their property. Flo arrived with some early family photos and found to her astonishment that she had booked the very home her father was born in, where he grew up, played, ate, and eventually left. In fact, the hosts even confirmed that their family had purchased the house from Flora's grandparents. Margarita and Enza helped Flora access local records and piece together her family history as best she could before bidding farewell to her history and her host to continue what will certainly become an unforgettable trip. Wow, that's pretty sweet. Oh, a little baby beaver leaps into a teen's arms for help on the Coashan River. And I do believe we have video of this. Are we ready for video, Deja? A squeaky baby beaver that was in a lot of trouble took a leap of faith. It jumped into this young guy's arms. The Coashan River is in British Columbia, Canada, on Vancouver Island. And here's the video. Just floating down the river with a little baby beaver. So Connor Ballinger had an unforgettable encounter in the middle of the rapids. A lone baby beaver was struggling to stay afloat. To everyone's surprise, the tiny creature leapt straight into Connor's arms. He held the beaver close, cradling and protecting it until they reached the shore. From there, Connor's mom, Liz, stepped in and brought the baby to the North Island Wildlife Recovery Center in Arrington. Staff at the center said the young beaver wouldn't have survived on its own. They require a lot of care at that time. For now, the baby beaver is safe and cared for, with hopes that one day he'll be released back into the wild when he's old enough to thrive on his own. Oh, look at that little face. Is that a cutie or what? Oh my goodness. That was very sweet. Okay, this one is an interesting story. This hero dog saves his family by diffusing dynamite. Yes, you heard that correctly. Diffusing dynamite. A family in Peru is calling their dog a hero after she saved their lives in an extraordinary act of bravery. Security cameras captured the terrifying moment when a suspect threw a stick of dynamite into the courtyard of journalist Carlos Zarat's home around 1 a.m. Alert and watchful, the family's Cocker Spaniel mix, Manchis, spotted the danger and rushed to action. The footage shows Manchis running down the steps, pawing at the explosive, and then chewing through the fuse before it could ignite. She chewed it and saved their lives. I believe we do have a bit of that video clip. No. Zerrett believes he was targeted because of the nature of his work as a journalist. While Manchis is safe, the brave pup did suffer lasting effects. The damage to her vocal cords means she can no longer bark. Still, Carlos and his family say they were grateful every day for the sacrifice that their four-legged hero made to protect them. And although the care is still ongoing for that little dog, we just know that that dog is going to be a-okay. And here's the video now.
After security footage shows someone taking an explosive device and dropping it in the courtyard of their home in a city north of Lima. But the journalist says quick action from his hero pup Manchis at 1 a.m. may have averted disaster as the dog tried to move it with her paws and snout, then ate the fuse.
Do you think Manchis saved your life?
Por supuesto.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. That's, who knew that the dog would even think of doing that? Well, here is one last story for today. A trans non-binary filmmaker wants to create a new blueprint of masculinity for trans masculine people. I'm not interested in presenting to the world as a man based on whatever antiquated physical criteria that might invite that assumption. For trans masculine, non-binary journalist, photographer, and filmmaker, Eliza Enriquez, transitioning wasn't a linear journey from point A to point B. In their 2019 Vice essay about their experience, microdosing testosterone, they described resisting the typical understanding of gender transition, which tacitly prioritizes passing as either male or female, and coming into their own identity as a non-binary person instead. I'm non-binary and I'm not interested in presenting to the world as a man based on whatever antiquated physical criteria that might invite that assumption. Microdosing testosterone, they explain, rejects the notion that there should be an end goal to a person's transition. They explained, rejects the notion that there should be an end goal and allows them the freedom to embody their gender on their own terms, slowly inching my way to a soft, forgiving space where I can be gentle, hard, bold, and understated. I wrote the article as a way to ensure that people knew microdosing testosterone was an option for them. I don't think it is in any way a new phenomena. It just has a name now, where I imagine that our ancestors have been doing this for a very long time. Wow, there you go. Well, that's it for this week. You've been watching, and now the good news here on the New Thought Media Network. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and be sure to be back here again next week, where we're going to have more good news stories to begin your weekend. So have a beautiful weekend. Know that you truly are unique and special like everyone else, and just love yourself completely. This is Barbara Jean signing off. And I look forward to seeing you here again next time. Bye for now.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network. Come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.